Man City back to winning ways with that goal by Riyad Mahrez. A big difference in the second half from Pep Guardiola's men. Maybe some positives to be taken for Chelsea. We will get into that. But taking a look at the Premier League right now, City moving 5 points behind league leaders Arsenal. Chelsea just in the top half of the table. They're in 10th as we do welcome in Frank Leboeuf and Nadim Anua to talk a lot more about this game. But I will start with you, Craig.
Well, yeah, I'm going to start because I'm intrigued by that comment you made there.
You don't think there are any positives at all for Chelsea today?
We're going to find some positives for Chelsea today. I'm like, how long have we got? I've got a bit of time. I can sit and have a think.
It wasn't their worst display, though, was it?
No. I mean, is that the positive?
I suppose so. Listen, against the defending champions, Manchester City.
Look, where are we starting? City or Chelsea?
No, let's get back to Chelsea.
I thought they were
all right. Then go on.
No, they were okay. I mean, look, where do we sit here? City made all these changes in the first half. People were playing in positions that we don't normally become accustomed to them playing. Cancelo was on the right, they played three at the back. Rodri kept dropping into the back line. I thought De Bruyne and Gundogan never really get in the game in the first half, and hence neither did Foden and neither did Haaland. And that's why he made 2 changes at half-time and 2 more changes not long into the second half. So I mean, I suppose if you want me to say it, I'll say Chelsea were not that bad against Man City, who were not their sparkling best. That's about as rosy as I can.
Well, I'll be a little rosier for Chelsea. I thought Chelsea played well. I thought Cucurella, who I'm not a big fan of, I thought he covered a lot of ground down that left-hand side. Kovacic through the middle. I
thought Cucurella was hopeless. He got taken off because he got beat 1-on-1 every time.
But he covered so much ground down that left-hand side that it gave Chelsea an option going forward. I thought Kovacic was good in the midfield.
I thought Zakaria was the best player.
When City pressured, it was either kind of, if you find a passing lane into the front three, use that, or more times than not, Kovacic kind of worked his way out and found room. And again, I thought that was good. But where Chelsea, again, even when they did that, even when they got bodies forward, where Chelsea continued to let themselves down is, and we've been speaking about this for the last couple of seasons, the lack of a striker. Now, Aubameyang comes on after what, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and I'll be honest, I'm not sure I can tell you what Aubameyang did for the entire game, and that was desperately disappointing. But just in terms of what we've seen from Chelsea before and what we saw against City, despite the changes, we are talking about the reigning champions, we are talking about the favourites to go on and repeat. I thought this was a whole lot better from Chelsea.
It was better early on. I'll give you that, when City were out of shape. But they're so, I mean, right, I know you say Cucurella covered a lot of ground. I mean, Cancelo turned them inside out before he was taken off, and he wasn't great. Bernardo Silva then went out there, gave him a little bit of a roasting. And Riyad Mahrez went out there. And he couldn't defend one-on-one, Cucurella, and he was replaced by the young boy. Kai Havertz, once again, was another one that might as well have went and sat on the subs bench. And I agree with Shaq on Aubameyang. I mean, that's embarrassing. I mean, he came on early, obviously, and lasted 68 minutes. And did he do anything?
I don't remember a thing.
He's not even making any challenges. He's not working hard. So, yeah, I mean, I'll buy it. They only lost 1-0.
I'll tell you what, to that point, right, both teams said they would work once each. I honestly can't explain Kepa letting the ball run across him as he did, but let's say he gathers that in, and we sit here discussing a 0-0. We say, yes, City were better, but Chelsea kind of deserved their point. I think that's how we'd interpret this. But for what is a goalkeeper mistake, and don't get me wrong, Kepa has been absolutely fantastic. So that was uncharacteristic of what we've seen from of late. So you take that into account. But apart from that, if it was 0-0, I don't think anybody begrudged Chelsea at that point.
Frank, what's your take on Chelsea today?
I think I will have to go with Craig, where I think they did well because the first half Manchester City wasn't in real good shape. You know, the positioning of Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne, the Cancelo positioning on the right side with Walker didn't work. And we all know that Pep Guardiola doesn't like to make changes. The last game, he changed 3 players in the last 10 minutes of the game. And today at halftime, he made 2 changes because he realized that the right side wasn't working. And he had to put back Bernardo Silva on the right and De Bruyne also on the right side. And at the beginning of the second half, it was a different game. And Chelsea was under pressure, couldn't get out. And it was completely, again, a different game. Chelsea, they tried to exist. Koulibaly and Thiago Silva had a good game. Zakaria was absolutely fantastic in the middle of the park. Kovacic was helpful at some point. But I will go with the guys, out front. It's impossible. You can't see a future with those guys playing out front. Yeah, Raheem Sterling got injured. Pulisic got injured, but would have changed something. They would have stayed on the field. I don't think so. I think we are off season for Chelsea. They have to do what they can do, and we'll see next season where they're gonna hire, who they're gonna hire, who they're gonna get rid of, because I don't see anything positive. I see a little bit better, but because Manchester City didn't do what they had to do. But clearly, we're talking about Chelsea. We're not talking about a young team with the beginning of an era. We are talking about a team who changed the chairman, who changed the coach, who spent millions of pounds to get a better team. And we are trying to find excuses because they have injuries and they don't have a bench. The future is not bright, that's for sure.
Pep Guardiola has certainly got himself a bench, Nadem. His changes won him the game today, didn't they?
Yeah, I think that is the case. I think, obviously, you're talking about the changes at half-time because the changes before the game clearly didn't work out for them. I think there were 1 or 2 players who maybe were in uncomfortable positions. That's really the reason why City were bad in that first half. I think a lot of that was down to the City side of things. And I think for Pep, as Frank said there, he doesn't really like to make changes. So the fact that he felt he had to, and the fact that he did actually do it, especially at half-time, I think that's very, very significant. But like I say, for Man City, they'll take the 3 points. It's far from a perfect game. But it's 3 points on the board, and now you're seeing the certain players that are in form and certain players who are maybe a bit rusty because this is their first start back since the World Cup itself. So I think for Man City, as I say, take the 3 points and then just move on to the next game, ironically, against Chelsea.
I think it was good for Grealish, even though you can look at Kepa, it was good for Grealish to get that brilliant little... And it was a brilliant pass. It should have been a cross. It should have been dealt with, I would imagine, as Shaq said. But it wasn't, and so that's the end product. I think we're all looking with Jack Grealish when he gets into those positions. We know Riyad Mahrez generally is a game winner, a game changer, whatever you want to call him. But City haven't been playing startling. Yeah, they beat Leeds. Yes, they beat Liverpool. That was an exciting game. But don't forget, there was the draw with Everton and pre-World Cup. There was the loss at home to Brentford. So it's been a little bit stop-start. And you're looking at City at the moment, really at the back, and you think, what's his best back four? What's he going to do? So I think he's still got some stuff to figure out. He said himself, we have to be almost perfect because obviously Arsenal are so far ahead. I'm sure Arsenal will have some bumps to get over as well. But yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't really matter, I suppose, if you're City, you win 4 or 5 and you play great, or you win 1 and you take the 3 points. It is what it is, Kay, you know, they've got the job done. As for, I mean, I suppose in some senses we look at the odds to win the Premier League. You know, City are going to hunt you down. I think we know that. They're going to hunt Arsenal down. Whether they get past them or not remains to be seen. But I think one thing I can say for Chelsea is they have got a horrendous injury list.
Yes.
Right, that's the one thing I can say, and that was added to it by the 2 players. We can't deny that, right? So that's making Graham Potter's job more difficult. However, to steal the line in the commentary of Peter Drury, and I was quite astonished, that's 6 points from 24. That's 8 games. Now, you do the maths, that kind of return isn't even going to keep you up in the division. Not that they're going to be in a relegation battle, but it's telling you the kind of form that's heading for less than 30 points for the whole season. So that's something that has to be remedied, and remedied quickly. I don't think Graham Potter's job is in immediate doubt, but we don't know Todd Bowley and his consortium and how they're going to act. But there's one thing we know, that a lot of the guys there, and some of them we saw today, are unlikely to bail him out of trouble if this continues. Very, very unlikely.